I'm sure. Don't question me, OBS. Actually, I'm very happy that OBS questions me because I don't want to start streaming by accident.
Mm-hmm. Been there, done that.
Yep. There we go. It looks like we're live now. We have a bunch of people already waiting for us to start. You guys are fantastic. Just real quick, gonna say hello to people like Jerome, David, Night Razor, Smash, Sednar, Stadia, Gustavo, Vaxer, Consino, Vicky. Let's see, Kodiak, Victor. I think I already said Victor. Dave, Goblin Lord, in lead. That Lloyd fella. What's up, Lloyd?
He was a good guy.
He's my least favorite chatter.
Oh. Oh.
All right. Well, I'm ready to just jump right in if you are, man. Or
yeah,
do you want to wait and do a little update on anything before we get started?
I was going to tweet out that we're live.
Oh yeah, I'm so bad at that. I never remember to do all of that stuff, and like that's important because then people don't know that we're live. All right. While you're doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank all of the people who became members recently. Or re-upped their membership recently. So, Nick, Anthony, Francois, Travis, Christopher, Matthew, Miguel, SofaSpy, Chris, Raul, Etienne, Christopher, Andrew, Power Fantastic, Adamoth, Darren, Rob, C, and Brandon. Thank you very much for becoming members. We really do appreciate it. It really does help. Most of the revenue that we generate from doing this show comes from people doing memberships and super chats and stuff like that. The ad revenue is much lower on there. That's the wrong button. All right. Did you tweet a thing? He's still typing, I can tell. Because do you look at your hands when you type?
I can't touch type. I
don't even know who you are.
I type with 6 fingers. That's how I type. That's how it's been my whole entire life. Before I knew about touch typing, and then I took keyboarding class and all that stuff in high school, and they tried to teach me to do it the way that you're supposed to, and I have to keep looking down. Even though I know where the keys are, like if I don't look, I can actually type, but it's a habit where I have to look at my fingers.
Oh my God, Lloyd. Like I learned something new today about you, my friend. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That is a
I'm
surprise.
sure we had this conversation before.
We have not.
Pretty sure we did.
No, there's no way. I would remember being this disappointed in somebody. Okay, there it is. What?
No.
I don't think you typed in the right URL.
What the hell? I gotta do that again. Oh my God.
What is that? Do you see that?
Why is it pulling up some sort of weird...
I gotta show you guys what Lloyd tweeted, although it's not his fault. I think there's some kind of mistake.
Why did it go to some weird channel?
I don't know, man. That's weird.
Here, let me refresh. What the hell?
I'm gonna click on it and see.
It has a completely different URL than it had before.
Okay, yeah, that's taking them to.
What the hell? Weird. I was actually on the channel watching it, so I don't understand how that's even a thing. Okay, now I gotta retype the whole thing in.
Entertainment, everybody. Sammy types using muscle memory. So while he's figuring this out, I'm gonna tell you my story about learning to type. I took typing in high school, and I failed because I could not stop looking at my fingers like Lloyd. But then Ultima Online came out, and my friends and I were playing Ultima Online, and we would have to communicate really quickly. And this is back in the day when people did not do voice over IP very much. We had voice over IP, but if you were using VoIP at the same time as you were playing a game like Ultima Online, good luck.
There we go.
Things were not going to work. So I had to learn to type that way so I could say like, oh no, there's a thing coming after us. Or, you know, you would have to, I don't know.
There we go.
You'd have to type fast. All right, you got it?
I just tweeted it out, and it's the actual URL. So how did that work? I go to our channel, I click on our video, and it has some other watch URL, except it was watching our video.
What do you mean?
I've never seen. Well, because I went to grab the URL from the actual thing where our video is that is playing right now. I pasted it in Twitter, and it was some other channel. I've never seen that before. I don't even know how that happens.
So, like, maybe, like, look, man, no judging. I'm not judging here. That couldn't have been in your clipboard already?
No.
Okay.
Well, that wouldn't have been in my clipboard.
That's weird. That's funny, though.
It is funny. Hey, I have no problem with the link that was there, but that's not something I've ever seen, so I don't even know what that is.
That's hilarious.
Weird.
That was one of the funnier things. All right. Are you
There we go.
Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, let's do this, man.
Use your sixth finger, Jerome says.
That's this one. You can't move it by itself because it's connected to the other two.
What?
That's the other one. You can't move your ring finger by itself very easily because it doesn't have the same number of muscles as your other fingers.
I don't know. Yeah. All right. I'm going to hit record.
It's not as agile.
Okay. I believe you. I believe you. All right. Here we go.
Oh, boy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Stadiacast. I'm Bill. That's Lloyd. How's it going, Lloyd?
It's going okay, Bill.
We had a little bit of ridiculousness right at the beginning of the show, but that's okay. Ridiculousness is fun.
And it's also a good TV show on MTV.
Is it? I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's a clip show on, I think it's on MTV or whatever. I catch it every once in a while when I used to watch actual TV.
All right. Well, there you go. Actual TV. We're not on actual TV. We're on YouTube. And so you can head on over to nerdnest.tv. We record this show live every Sunday at 10 a.m. U.S. Eastern. Again, that's nerdnest.tv. Head on over there, hit the subscribe button, and that way you're notified when we go live or post videos and stuff like that. We do talk about Stadia stuff on this show, so make sure that you're here if you want to know all about all of the Stadia stuff. And if you are here with us live and you want to support, you can use the super chat feature to make absolutely sure that we see your message. We respond to each and every super chat and the end of the show. We also have a join button down below. If you click that, you'll find out all the reasons why you should. And if you're here after the fact, it's no longer live, and you want to support the show, you can click the applaud button, or you can also click on the store button, and you can check out some of our like t-shirts and hoodies and bags and phone cases and all that stuff with our cool Nerd Nest logo. Just a quick reminder, the 10K Nerd Nest logo is only going to be around until the end of March. So if that's something you're interested in, then go ahead and pick that up. And I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody who has gone through, excuse me, and picked up t-shirts or hoodies or anything like that. We really do appreciate it. All right, yeah. Lloyd, what have you been playing, man?
I've been playing a lot. I was just looking at the nice 10K shirt. There's like a really nice like dark blue one with the logo on it. I really like it. Yeah, you did a good job with that shirt. So good job there, Bill.
Thanks, man.
As for what I've been playing, on Stadia, I've mainly been trying to get a little bit further in Journey to the Savage Planet. Really enjoying Journey to the Savage Planet. But I did dip in a little bit into Marvel's Avengers. There's going to be the Hawkeye DLC coming shortly, and I'm playing through the other stuff, the Kate Bishop content that was added a while ago. I realized that I had never gone in and checked out her as a new character. So I've been jumping in and playing that on Stadia. if I'm honest, the thing that is completely absorbing all of my free time and brain power is Valheim, but that's not on Stadia. Hopefully that'll come to Stadia at some point when it's out of early access, because that is one hell of a game, and I'd love to see it on Stadia.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. I'm having a ton of fun with Valheim on Stadia. I've been playing a stupid amount of Pac-Man Battle Royale. That game it's got its hooks in really, really well. Anytime that I've got an extra, 10, 15 minutes to just sit down and goof around, I load up Pac-Man and it plays great. Although how at the beginning, when it first came out, there was like a bunch of bugginess to it where it was really, really goofy, and weird things would happen. And then I think it was last week or the week before, I mentioned, I think that they fixed all that stuff. Well, I was playing yesterday or the day before, and some of it's back. It's not like people are warping around or anything, or there's ghosts that are going through walls. But what's happening now is like, so there's certain power-ups in the game, and one of the power-ups basically makes Pac-Man stinky, right? And the ghosts will move away from him. So basically it's kind of like an immunity if you don't have a power pellet. And sometimes I'll get that power-up, and obviously it's still working, because if I go close enough to one of the ghosts, their eyes kind of squint like they're unhappy and they move away from me, but I can't see the power-up on me for some reason. So there's still some weird bugginess that's going on with the game. And I've also run into issues where like things just don't show up. Like you just can't see certain things. Like I believe I ate like a power pellet and none of the ghosts turned blue, but I was still able to eat them. So it's really weird and still kind of buggy. And I still stand by my stance that this should be an not only an early access game, but a free-to-play game. It's super fun though. I'm having a blast playing it, and I'd love to keep dumping time into it. You also mentioned Avengers. I don't have time to play that right now, but it's on sale at 50% off. Like it's $30 for the base game. If you want to get the deluxe version, which I guess you said that it just has like extra costumes or something, right?
Yeah, it allowed you to play 4 days early was the only real reason to get it. Other than that, it comes with some extra costumes and nameplates, which is stuff that I don't really care about.
Yeah. And that's like $40. So it's an extra $10 on top of it. So I'm really tempted to pick it up, but I don't have time to play that right now. I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV. I'm playing Pac-Man. I'm playing Valheim. Avengers looks great, and I'm definitely interested. But I just, if you're looking for something to play, Lloyd has put many, many hours into Avengers, and it's only $30 right now on Stadia. Yep. So I'm going to recommend that you pick it up unless you've got other things to play right now. All right, let's move on and talk about. Let's move on and talk about all of the news that's going on. They did 3 blog posts this week, and some of them are obviously more impactful than others. The big one for this week is that Outriders is coming on April 1st. Are you hyped for this game?
I want to be really hyped for this game. It looks very good, and I'm hopeful that it won't be like another what was the name of that game from EA where you wear suits and
Anthem?
It came out as supposed to be Anthem. I'm hoping that it's not like another Anthem where it has like all this crazy hype. It looks so beautiful, and then it comes out and just kind of fizzles. I really don't think this is going to be it, and I'm super stoked to jump into it when the game comes out on April 1st. I'm very hopeful for it, let's say.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it. It is an RPG shooter with, you can. It's from the development studio, I believe, is People Can Fly. There is single player, or you can do co-op with up to 2 friends, so like teams of 3, and you land on this planet and you've got a bunch of monsters to kill. It looks really, really cool. It's coming to Stadia on April 1st, which I'm very excited for. I know that there's a lot of people who are upset that there's a demo that's on other platforms, but it's not
Yeah.
on the Epic Games Store and it's not on Stadia for some reason.
Sure.
What's your what do you think the reasoning is that it's not on those places? Do you think it was just that money didn't change hands, or that, well, so I mean, if it's in beta or if it's in demo on Steam, then I can't see any reason why they couldn't do it on the Epic Games Store. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's really like a deals issue.
It could be a deals issue. I'm thinking more along the lines of they're working as hard as they possibly can to get the game ready to come out on April 1st. They don't have the extra month that it takes to create a demo slice, test it, QA it, and then release it on the store.
Well, yeah, but they already have the demo slice. Like, the demo slice is available for other platforms.
Sure, but porting a game isn't as easy as clicking a button, say port to Stadia. There's a lot more work that comes to getting a game running on another platform, and a lot of companies they treat the demo as almost another complete entire project. It's not just the game and then they say compile for demo. They make another copy of that game, they cut off all the stuff that might be spoilers, and they put it out there. And I'm thinking that Google had to maybe parachute in engineers to get it working, similar to what we said happened with Cyberpunk, which may or may not have happened. I'm thinking that the game is just to the point where they need every cycle to get the actual game running. They don't have time to work on an entirely different project to get a demo out there when the demo is going to be available on a bunch of other platforms.
And that makes perfect sense to me. The only, I don't know, monkey in the wrench there is that it's not on the Epic Games Store. And if it's on Steam and not on the, I mean, that's essentially the same exact thing. So that's just confusing to me.
Does Epic Games Store do demos? I don't know if
maybe that's the reason. I don't know. I don't really.
I'm not sure.
I for a while I was opening up the Epic Games Store every day and claiming my free games, and then never ever playing them because I couldn't be bothered to download them.
Yeah, Epic Games has demos on it, so it's not a limitation of the store. Okay. So yeah, I don't know, man. It is a weird one.
Anyway, I'm excited for the game. I think it looks fantastic. I'm definitely going to be playing it. I don't know if I'll be playing it day one, but I'll definitely be playing it because we've got a lot of stuff to play right now anyway. Speaking of lots of stuff to play, in that same blog post, they did show off that there's a bunch of games that are on sale right now. So Borderlands 3 stuff is on sale, Doom stuff is on sale, Hitman stuff is on sale, Immortals Phoenix Rising, one of your favorite games, is on sale, along with Madden is still on sale. Like I said, Marvel Avengers, PGA Tour, Star Wars, Division 2, Ghost Recon, Valkyria Chronicles 4. Love that game. There's so many games that are on sale right now. So just make sure that you check out the on sale page and see if there's any deals there that you are interested in. You ready to talk about some Baldur's Gate for a little bit?
Let's do it. This was a bit of a surprise to me.
Yeah, me too. Did you play much Baldur's Gate?
I played past the intro area, like when you're on that ship and then the ship crash lands, and I got to that. I went into like some sort of building and I went into the basement and I beat a boss, which wasn't a boss, and I felt all super powerful. And then I read you can't bring your save games over and that there's going to be all these changes, and I'm like, you know what, I'm spending a lot of time with this game, maybe I'll wait until it's closer to a finished project, since it is in early access, before I devote any more time into it. So that's kind of where I got to with Baldur's Gate.
Well, I put a ton of hours into this game. I played through all of the I'm sure that there's stuff that I missed, but I played through the content that was available when it first came out, which is Act 1 of the game. I had an absolute blast. All of the crazy stuff that you can do in the game is fantastic. And now what they're doing is they're adding in more classes, which is really cool. And the one that they're adding in now, and I think this is the reason why I think it's okay to get in there on early access and play, because then the next time that you play, when they wipe out your save because it's an early access game, you can just play as a different class. And so the new class that they're adding in is the druid. The druid has cool abilities like shape shifting, so they can, or wild shift or wild shape, something, I can't remember what it's called. But basically you can turn into like giant badgers and things like that. It looks so cool, and I can't wait to get back into it. I just wish, like, they're doing all of these updates. I just, please copy all of the control schemes that you had on controller from Divinity Original Sin 1 and 2 and apply those control schemes to Baldur's Gate 3, because I can't stand playing this game on controller, but I also am not I don't like playing games on mouse and keyboard very much. So I would be playing this game so much more if I could use a controller. And I know that there's people who've told me a million times, Bill, you just got to get used to the controller. I shouldn't have to get used to it.
It's not optimal by any stretch. That's one of the main reasons why I stopped playing as well. It's like, okay, it doesn't work super well on controller. I'd prefer to just sit and play on the TV, not sit at my computer with keyboard and mouse. So maybe I'll wait for an update. So hopefully that comes out at some point as well.
Yeah, but I'm excited to jump back in when I can find time and play as a druid and run around as a giant badger. That's not something that I knew that I was going to say today, but now I have, and I'm happy that I did. All right.
Is there mushrooms and a snake?
Oh, only people who are old like us would understand that joke. All right. Let's see. So then there's the third community blog post that they have where they're announcing 2 games that are on their way to Stadia. The first one is called Welcome to Elk. And it is really, really weird, and it seems like it's a really dark game. Not dark as in like the poor lighting, but dark as in the subject matter. Have you had any experience with this game at all?
No, I saw it for the first time on the blog post, and I was like, oh, this is a really cool cartoon art style. I really like this. This reminds me of like I don't know, Where's Waldo books or something. This is really great. And then next thing you know, someone's vomiting and stitching up their friend because they got a big cut on their chest or whatever. And I'm like, okay, this isn't a kid's game. This is definitely not a kid's game, but with a really kid-friendly art style. I'm actually kind of interested to see how this game kind of plays out.
Yeah, it has all of these little mini games, and like you have to, like, there's a mini game where you have to stitch up your friends. Like, that's part of the game. Yeah. Like, you have to like control the needle and the thread in order to stitch up this your friend's wound or something, which is, I'm like, when it first came on the screen, I saw it and I was like, what am I looking at here? And then when it dawned on me what it was, I was like, oh, that's gross. I don't like it. But I do love the art style. This is probably a game that I will pass on, not because I don't think it's going to be a good game. Just I know that this is the kind of game where I'm interested in it for, I don't know, 2 hours, and then I see shiny things that distract me otherwise. But I think it looks cool, and I'm always for more games coming to Stadia. They describe it as a biographical adventure set on an island like no other, where every character you encounter has a story to tell. So I feel like it's more of a storytelling game with a bunch of little mini games in there.
I think so, and it looks like it has like some video, live action video in the trailer of actual actors that I recognize. So the whole thing intrigues me.
Oh, I didn't recognize that guy. I thought that was like one of the developers or something, and he
could be.
Like in the trailer, he's like, I still remember the day he died, blah blah blah, and I was like, I'm so confused about what's happening here. It is very intriguing. That's a very intriguing trailer to me.
It reminds me, or maybe it's not the guy. It looks like him. I'm trying to find the name of the actor. It's the guy from Silicon Valley.
Which I've never seen.
Starr. He plays Guilfoyle in Silicon Valley. It looks so much like him. It probably isn't, but when I saw that, I'm like, oh, cool. He made a video game because it does kind of look like him. Except he has my beard all of a sudden, which is kind of weird.
Well, he has his beard. You have a beard.
I have an epic beard.
You do. It's getting really, really long. I can't wait till you can start braiding it.
Yeah, I can make a ponytail on the front. That's about it. So it's gonna be some time. It's gonna be a little bit of time before I can do that. I can get some elastic bands and Captain Lou Albano it for the next little while.
That's so weird that you bring up Captain Lou Albano. The other night, my wife and I were sitting down. We were watching 80s music videos, and Cyndi Lauper, "Girls Just Want to Have Fun" came on, and I was like, "Is that Captain Lou Albano?" And I was like, "That's the guy that played Mario." All right, moving on. Weird aside. There's another game on its way called A Place for the Unwilling. It is another branching narrative adventure set in the final 21 days of a dying city. There's no video on this, but a narrative adventure seems like something that I'm going to pass on. But it's coming to Stadia on February 23rd, so in 2 days, and it's going to be $15. And the other one was $15 as well.
Yep.
Release date is coming soon.
So yeah, hopefully we'll get some more details on that. But yeah, this is great. This is the type of stuff we've been asking, or people have been asking for a very long time about. We need a roadmap. We need a roadmap. After the bad news, we need a roadmap. So now Stadia, for the last couple of weeks, has been coming out with multiple blog posts telling us about all the games that are coming, trying to convince everybody that it is business as usual. So this is a good development.
Although, of course, anytime anybody posts, or anytime Google says, look at these games that are coming to Stadia, there's always that one segment that says, well, not those games. I want the games for me. And then when the games for that guy come out, then there's another guy over there who's like, not those games. I want the games for me. People are so selfish. All right. Just be happy that there's more games on the platform.
Exactly.
All right. This story, I thought about making a video about it earlier in the week, and I was like, I'm not sure if I really wanted to talk about it on my own. I feel like this is more of a conversational kind of video, but there's this really odd thing or odd story on Kotaku where, like, the week before Stadia closed down SG&E. Like, they had a meeting with the higher ups, with the management, and the management basically said, you guys are doing a great job. You're making amazing progress, which, that fills all of the people who are working on this stuff with, like, hey, they all think that we're doing a great job. And then the next week they get closed. Now, for me, I would have been like, all right, well, then they just didn't know. But then they did a Q&A with the staff afterwards, and they said, what changed between this week and last week? And Harrison said, nothing changed. We knew that this was going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell, man? That's terrible. That is just bad management.
Yeah, I don't know. Whenever something big happens at a large company, and then you get all the dirt that comes out after, and a lot of the time it's just from people that have a bone to pick, or they don't know the full extent of. They don't know the full extent of things. They know 1/10 of what the whole entire story is. So they tell that 1/10, and that becomes the narrative going forward. We'll probably never know unless there is like a big video that comes out. But it wouldn't surprise me if you're shutting down a large chunk of a company that employs 150 people. They don't just do that overnight. They don't wake up this morning and say, you know what, we've done it in a while. We haven't shuttered a division and fired 150 people. So it makes sense. Maybe that was writing on the wall saying we have these milestones to hit, and if we don't hit those milestones on this date, we're going to have to do this. Or maybe something came from above. It's like, we got all this great press for Cyberpunk. You need to do more of that and less of the other stuff that you're working on. So many potential stories, but seeing these articles come out over the next, or they've come out over the last little bit, and they will continue to come out over the coming months. We'll probably get a bit of a clearer story as kind of all these little puzzle pieces start snapping together. But yeah, it is really tough, and it just shows how rough and tumble the games industry is. Like, you can have a job, you could be at a game dev studio for 10 years, and then all of a sudden, because of no fault of your own, there's an economic downturn, they have to save money, and they go and they just fire half of the people. And even though you've been there for 10 years working crazy overtime, doing whatever, you're just another widget, and they need to get rid of 100 widgets from their box of widgets. And it's it's sad. It really is sad, and makes me really glad that I didn't go into game development, because having that uncertainty all the time would just be too stressful for me.
Yeah, I tend to refer to those people as spreadsheeters. Like, they just look at a spreadsheet and they want to make all of the numbers turn the right color, and that's really their main focus. And I understand that making that business decision is fine, but if you already know that you're about to make that business decision, the week before that, you make that announcement telling everybody you're doing a great job, by the way. That's that's just odd to me. Another piece of information that came out, people in chat are saying fire Phil. I don't think so. I don't think that that's really going to do anything to change anything. But another piece of information that came out is a big impetus, I think that's the right word, propelling Google to make that decision was the fact that Microsoft had gone out and purchased all of these studios, including Bethesda. And they were like, okay, so it seems like Microsoft's, their way of doing it is going to go, I'm going to go buy all of these third-party studios.
Sure.
Google says, okay, we could do that. We already have first-party studios, but we could just go out and buy a bunch of third-party studios, or we could just invest in third parties by saying, here, bring your game to our platform. And then we're not assuming the risk. Like, those companies, those other companies, they are still assuming the risk, where Google is just like, oh, you've made a game, here's some money to bring it to Stadia. And I think that that's less risk averse. Does that make sense, Lloyd? Yeah.
I mean, definitely that could be part of it. It's I don't know, this whole thing is it's annoying, because you see the optics, you see the impact to people's lives, and you just realize that it was probably just some, as you said, the spreadsheeter or bean counter made the decision, and next thing you know, a bunch of people are out of their jobs in a pandemic. It's just a terrible story from top to bottom. The thing that does make me kind of smile a little bit, on the Kotaku article, the top quote, or the top comment rather, is, let's look at Phil Harrison's history. Worked at Sony for the PS3 launch, the horrible PS3 launch, worked at Microsoft for the horrible Xbox One launch, and now is working at Google for the horrible Stadia launch. And well, that may be accurate or not, because there's truth and not truth to all those things. It's just, it sucks that there's that narrative out there now, that he's the one bringing down Stadia, when he probably had zero or very little to do with the decision. He's just an executive that has people above him that say, no, you have to do this or do that, or maybe it was his decision. The point is, we don't know,
and we're never going to know.
But seeing the narrative come out and all the stories has just been, I don't know. I'm looking forward to this not being the top story in the community soon. Hopefully we'll get back to the train of really good news, and not this doom train that's been going around for the last little bit.
Speaking of the doom train, Google's getting sued.
Yeah.
Listen, I know that there's a lot of people that saw this, because a lot of people sent this to me in DMs on Twitter. A lot of people were like, Bill, what do you guys think about this? Everybody gets sued. Google is no stranger to getting sued. Guaranteed. On top of that, let's take a look at other gaming companies that have recently been sued. Nintendo. Nintendo is killing it right now. They shipped 80 million Nintendo Switches in like 4 years. They're doing really, really well. They have a class action lawsuit against them for Joy-Con drift. I anticipate that we will soon see a class action lawsuit against Sony for the, what's that thing called? DualSense. For the DualSense drift, because that one has joystick drift as well. Gaming companies, they get sued for stuff. Now, what is Google getting sued for? They're getting sued for not having every game at 4K 60. What are your that chuckle tells me something. What are your thoughts on this, Lloyd?
I think it's incredibly dumb, but that's a lot of lawsuits are like that, and a lot of dumb lawsuits actually win because the system isn't perfect. But that's like saying, you know what, my speedometer on my car goes up to 200 kilometers an hour, but I can only hit 140. I'm breaking the law doing even that, but you know, I want to get up to 200 because my thing says that, so I'm going to do a class action lawsuit against my Nissan or whatever, because why would you misrepresent the top speed of my car by having 200 kilometers an hour on my speedometer? It's just wrong, and you owe me a bunch of money, even though I'm breaking the law going that fast. You owe me money, Nissan. It's just it's dumb like that. I'm sure this will make it to some court and will probably get thrown out, but this will probably be the first of many. And that's what it is when you run a big company. You get lawsuits. Mm-hmm. People sue you for intellectual property theft, for patents infringement, for all this stuff, which may or may not have any semblance of reality, but it happens. And when you're a big company, you spend a lot of money on lawyers because that's what you got to do to keep your company going forward.
Yeah, and look, this is not the first time that a company has said this is the resolution that our machines can deliver, and then the machines did not give that resolution because the game developers decided that's not what I felt like putting my energy into. You look at a game like I can't think of one that's like, okay, here we go. Elder Scrolls Online. When Elder Scrolls Online first came to Google Stadia, it was 1080p, 30 frames per second. Later, they upgraded that to 4K, 30 frames per second. Still not 4K 60, which is what everybody is expecting all of the time for some reason. That's not on Stadia. That's because Bethesda, or ZeniMax, I guess would be the better the better name to say. That's because ZeniMax made that decision. They decided this is the frame rate and resolution that we can reliably hit with our game engine. Stadia is not in charge of other companies' game engines any more than like Zack Snyder's Justice League is going to be coming out, and it's going to be a 4:3 aspect ratio. HBO is not in charge of deciding if the movie is going to be made in 4:3 or 16:9. It's not Stadia's fault. So the idea that Stadia is getting sued for this is ridiculous in my opinion. But that's just my opinion.
I want to sue them for taking 30% of the pixels away by putting it in 4:3 instead of 16:9. I want my pixels back, and I'm gonna sue them to get my pixels back.
That's right. What is in those pixels that we're missing?
Yeah, that's the real the real story that isn't getting out there. They hide stuff in those missing pixels, and you're not getting it.
That's where they embed the cameras so that they can identify you. And
that's exactly what it is. That's what it is. Yeah, this whole thing is ridiculous, but that's what comes when you're running a big platform. People want to get their chunk of change so they can buy more games on your platform. So they sue the platform to get more money to then be able to buy games on the platform.
There you go. All right, let's take a quick turn over into the land of crowd play. This is where everybody sends in their topics. If you want to submit a topic for us to talk about on the show, or maybe we'll make a video about it, go to nerdnest.tv/submit, and either we'll talk about it here on the show, or maybe we'll make a video about it, or something like that. The first one comes to us from Mark Miller. He says, do you think the Stadia environment/ecosystem, along with competitors and their environments, actually proves to be more of a platform for massively huge games with insane integration and infrastructure that will be impossible for consoles? Do you think this type of foresight and roadmap moving forward makes more sense? Imagine a game along the lines of Star Citizen that is nearly impossible to play on anything being accessible in the cloud. I personally believe that long-term, thinking ahead for a bit in this regard would be a huge thing for cloud gaming in general? What do you think? Lloyd, I'm going to let you go first.
Well, I think that's kind of what SG&E, Stadia Games and Entertainment, existed for. They wanted to explore those realities with massive, huge games and AI running on a separate box and all the crazy stuff that they were working on. Turns out maybe that wasn't a priority for the first year of Stadia. Maybe we'll get back to it. I would love to see that because, yeah, I would love to have Minecraft, which isn't a massively huge game, but it's a game that I would love just to have my server exist in the cloud. Same with like Valheim, other games like that. I would just love to be able to boot it up on my phone and start playing from where I left off. And then you move into huge games like Star Citizen and things like that. They could really benefit from having an unlimited amount of potential horsepower for the game to run on, with AI running in one box and other stuff running in another box, and I don't know, physics running in another box or another blade or whatever. Maybe the closure of SG&E shows that is still something that is far away, and maybe they're just focusing on the low-hanging fruit for right now before they get into that.
Yeah, for me, I mean, you go back and you listen to most episodes of this show since we started it forever ago. And I think you'll hear me say this a lot. The reason I'm excited most, the biggest reason that I'm excited most for Stadia is the cloud native games. The games that can only, that are exclusive to Stadia, not because Google went to somebody and said, here's a pile of money. Don't make your game for other platforms. Just make it for us. But the games that can only run in the cloud because you just can't do it on a box under your TV. That is the thing that I was most excited for Stadia. With the closure of SG&E, I do think that reality is now further down the line, but I do think that eventually we will get to a point where somebody comes up with an idea for a video game, and maybe they're already doing this. Maybe somebody's already working on this, but they come up with an idea for a video game that just cannot work on an Xbox or a PlayStation or a Switch or, you know, whatever else is out there, but has to be run in the cloud in order to work. That is very, very compelling to me. With SG&E closing, I think that's, you know, they kick the can down the road a little bit, but there's nothing saying that SG&E closing means maybe this is what's going to happen. Google closes SG&E, stops working on first-party stuff, and instead they invest in bringing more third-party stuff to the platform, which if you asked the average person who is interested in video games what they're interested in, it wasn't the first party stuff from Google anyway. It was, I want Fortnite, I want this, I want that, I want this game on Stadia. Most people don't even know what SG&E was. We got to remember that not everybody is in the same bubble with us and knows about that stuff. So maybe what happens is they bring in more stuff, and then as Stadia gains a bigger foothold, maybe they decide, all right, well, now is the time that we're going to start working on bringing back that first party stuff. Maybe not. Who knows? But I don't think that this is nearly as big a deal as everybody talks about. Although, we've been talking about it for like 3 weeks now. I would like to move on. There just hasn't been tons of news that hasn't been about this.
It's the elephant in the room right now.
Yeah.
So everybody's talking about it. It could also be, obviously I'm not saying that this is a real thing that has happened. No one's talked to me about this, but who knows? Maybe Stadia or Google is partnering with another third-party developer that was working on similar tech to what they were working on. And now it's like, hey, we have this code. You can play around with it. You can run these servers. You can do this. So maybe a lot of what SG&E worked on is already still living out there with another company. It might come to us in a different form than was originally planned. We don't know, but yes, to go back to the question, the thought of having hugely massive games on a platform, you really can't do it on a console. That is a box that you buy that uses older tech by the time that you get it in your house, because it has to be affordable. That type of stuff can be done in the cloud very easily. Is not actually true, because it's a lot of work, but more easily compared to trying to fit something like that on a console using cheats and other things to simulate that type of stuff happening. So I'm hopeful for those types of games coming in the future. But yeah, I hope that we don't have to talk about this for the next little bit, and then we just get a surprise drop in like June. Look at this game, can only ever be done on Stadia. Here's what it looks like, and then we'll kind of know what happened with the whole SG&E thing.
You know, Trigger Hyper in chat says cloud gaming is in its infancy, so who knows where it will go or what ideas it may bring to the mainstream. I want to go back to when I first started playing video games. I was at my grandmother's bar, and there was a Donkey Kong cabinet there, and she opened up the register and got me a bunch of quarters, and I played Donkey Kong, and then at the end of the night she would open it up and get the quarters back out, put them back in the register. And little did I know that would lead to games like World of Warcraft, where I sit down, and that was the only game I played for about 7 years, where I would get into a group with 40 people, with 39 other people, and we would work together to try and overcome these huge challenges in this world that felt like it existed. That is amazing. And you think about going the line that goes from Donkey Kong to World of Warcraft as just 2 random points on the timeline of video games. You're right, Trigger, whatever it was, Trigger Hyper. Cloud gaming is in its infancy, and that's a thing to keep in mind. And that's another reason why I got excited is just about Stadia, is because I can see that there's going to be things in the future that we're going to look back at GDC of 2019, I think, and we're going to say that right there is the point where that made this kind of ridiculousness possible. And that's exciting to me. That's really exciting to me.
Exactly. Yeah. And just like what you said with GDC, hopefully GDC's later this year. It's in like July, I believe. So hopefully we'll get some really amazing news and tech demos coming out of then, because that's when the really cool kind of conceptual development is done, where the people have an idea and they go and they make some crazy tech demo that would never work as an actual real video game. But it shows the future that other developers can use in their games. So I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens. We'll see what this year brings.
Yeah. All right. Our next topic that was sent in by Scooterama. That's a funny name. They said, according to other markets, Google approached always quite differently and successful Chromebooks versus laptops, Android versus hardware smartphones. Besides developing their own games, do we really already see the strategy of Stadia? So for this, it took me a minute to really digest what it is that the person was getting at. Yes, I do think that we already see the strategy of Stadia. They have multiple strategies, and they're going with whichever one is working best. Their biggest strategy, I believe, is that they want to make people... Google said this a long time ago. The more you use the internet, the more money Google makes. That's exactly what they said. Now, when I'm playing a game on an Xbox, I may or may not be using the internet. When I'm playing a game on Stadia, I am using the internet. The more that I'm using the internet, the more that I am engaged with using the internet, the more money that Google makes. That's really their main focus for that company. On top of that, you look at the idea, you just look at how much money the gaming industry makes as a whole. Like, it makes more than all movies, more than TV, more than music. Video games is a ridiculously big revenue generator in the world. Google sees that, and they're like, all right, there's a place for us in there. We can do it the same way everyone else is. Make a box and put it under your TV. or we can do it a different way. And I think that that's what Scooterama is getting at. And I agree with that. What are your thoughts, Lloyd?
Yeah, I think so. Like the whole Chromebook versus laptop thing, there was low price laptops and when Chromebooks were a thing, but you had to pay like a $200 licensing fee for Windows. So your $300 laptop would immediately become a $500 laptop. Google saw that and it's like, hey, we can make our own OS. We'll call it Chrome OS, and it runs a version of Linux, and it's super slimmed down, and it will basically just run web apps, and we'll put this out there, and it'll be great for students. And I remember people scoffing at the thought of a Chromebook. Why would I buy that when I can't run apps? This makes no sense. And then it's evolved over time. So yeah, Google's approach is always very iterative. They put out a product and then they iterate on that product to make it better. So what you get day one is never what you get day 100 or day 1000, because they've put out something and then they iterate making it better. And I think that's what Stadia is. When Stadia first came out, it was hard to get like a 4K 60 stream in my house for whatever reason, because the internet or whatever was getting in the way. They take all the data of people playing it. They make the stream better. Next thing you know, I'm playing almost everything 4K 60 unless the game doesn't support it. So that is a really great approach to game development, platform development, and product development. So we have that benefit with Stadia, and let's hope for a really bright future because of that.
Right. And just because Google is very iterative doesn't mean that all of their partners are going to be iterative. A lot of companies will make a game, and when they're done with the game, they're done with the game. They might fix some bugs,
Sure.
but then they move on. So, just because we saw things like Elder Scrolls Online go from 1080p 30 frames per second up to 4K 30 frames per second, doesn't mean that we're going to see that same thing with other games. Not everybody is as iterative as Google is, especially when it comes to games that are not games as a service. That's another thing to keep in mind as well. All right, our last topic that was sent in, again, you can submit these at nerdnest.tv/submit. This one was sent in by Cold Show. He says, when will Stadia upgrade their hardware on a server level? And will we get Activision games? The real reason that I brought this one in, this is an older one that somebody had sent, but the real reason I brought this one in is because we just had BlizzCon yesterday or the day before or something. And they were talking about Diablo a whole bunch, and they were talking about World of Warcraft a whole bunch. These are games that are very much online focused games. You generally don't play offline all that much.
Mm-hmm.
And Stadia was not announced. Stadia was not mentioned. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what to say. It's one of those things where we in the past we've not seen the logo at the end of a trailer, and then 3 weeks before launch of the game we see it's coming to Stadia. So I don't really know what to think. It's just, yeah, it's one of those things. You need to be big enough to attract all these developers, all these games coming out, and also it takes a long time to make games. So what you planned 3 years ago might not be, you might not know about Stadia when you put out your initial plans for a game, and then it takes a while to free up some space in your development studio, some cycles for your developers to be able to even look at a different platform.
I personally don't. Well, okay. So people have asked me what I think about is game company X going to come to Stadia, and I'm going to say maybe. But here's the thing. I believe that every single publisher and developer will embrace cloud gaming. All of them will. Some of them will be on Stadia. Some of them will be on GeForce Now. Some of them will be on Luna. Some of them will be rolling their own. Now, as far as Activision goes, Activision really does not like sharing money. Like, you cannot get World of Warcraft on Steam because they want to have their own launcher. They want to have their own stuff that way.
Yep.
So
they want to control all that stuff.
Yeah. So what I think would end up happening instead is, like, Blizzard would partner with Stadia in order to use the tech, kind of like what we talked about before with a white label kind of thing, where Stadia powers it, but we're not playing on Stadia. We're playing on the BattleNet launcher, but we're still playing in the cloud. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are like, but I'm a Stadia person. You don't have to pledge allegiance to Stadia. Like, there's nothing that says that you can't. Okay, so let's imagine for a second, because Luna just put out, like, you can now buy some DLC for Metro Exodus on Stadia,
right,
or on Luna. So you can't buy the games, but you can buy the DLC, which I think is really weird, but okay. Let's imagine that with Luna you can buy a game. If a game comes to Luna and I can buy it there, and a different game comes to Stadia and I can buy it there, why do we care which one we're buying it on, as long as we could just buy the game that we want to buy and play the game that we want to play on the cloud? Like, that's the thing that I don't understand. Everybody feels like they have to be in this console holy war, Xbox versus PlayStation, Sega versus Nintendo, when that's really not what cloud gaming is all about. Cloud gaming is about choice and being able to play it where you want, and not everything has to be in one place.
Yeah, that's the benefit of Stadia. Everyone's like, well, why would you just be a Stadia player? Who says anything about being just a Stadia player? I own all the consoles, and even if I didn't own all the consoles, yeah, you could own all the cloud gaming platforms because there's nothing to buy. You just jump in there and you play the game, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like you buy the game, you play the game, and who cares if the next week another game comes out, and the next month another game comes out and you're playing it on Luna, and then a month later you're playing it on some other streaming service. If you don't have to buy a $500 box, you get rid of the need to be like a fanboy and have your schoolyard arguments with your friends that Nintendo's better, and it's like, no, Sega's better because it has blast processing. All that garbage kind of goes away, because there's no reason why you can't have every cloud platform. All of them support other controllers than what ships from that platform holder. So you could just buy a PlayStation 4 controller and play, or an Xbox One controller and play all of the streaming services. So yeah, hopefully these types of arguments go away in the future.
Well, okay, but I see people in chat, they're like, I can only support one platform financially. That's only if you are forcing yourself to subscribe. Now, right now with Luna, you have to subscribe. With Stadia, you do not have to subscribe. You can just buy a game and play it. And I know that there's going to be people that are like, but it's not 4K. Well, okay, that's really not that big a deal. When you just sit down and play a game and you're not pixel peeping, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't at the end of the day. So I
like that. I like pixel peeping. I really like that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to use that.
That's what people are always doing. They're like, I'm gonna, like, they freeze frame it, they zoom in, they count how many pixels, they do some math, and they're like, this is actually 21 whatever p instead of 4K, and I'm like, okay, I couldn't tell. I was just playing a game. So you don't have to subscribe to everything. That's why I canceled my Luna subscription. I subscribed to it to try it out. I bought the controller. I like the controller. I like the service. I don't like the business model because it forces me to subscribe. And while everybody seems to like the idea of subscription, I don't want to subscribe to Luna and Stadia and this and that. And Stadia is the one that doesn't make you subscribe to anything. Like with GeForce Now, you don't have to subscribe, but you can only play for an hour and you have to wait in line to play.
And all the games that you own are not necessarily on it, even though it's reading from your Steam library and your Epic Game Store library. So there's pluses and minuses for everything. Ahmad in the chat room saying, but Bill, why can't I just choose to play using cloud gaming and also choose to have all my games in one place because it's more convenient on Stadia? And you definitely can. If you don't want to support any other platform and you just want to play Stadia, no one's saying don't. But then you can't really complain that, well, I can't get this one game that is on Luna. Well, then just pick it up on Luna or play it with a subscription. Sign up for your 14-day trial or whatever is going to be available when that game comes out, and play it there. Console, like, only playing on one console made sense if you're an achievement hunter or if you're a trophy hunter, because you want all of your geek points in one place. But we're getting to the world now where there's a good reason to play a game on pretty much every different platform. So getting rid of that one silo and playing games everywhere is going to naturally become the future for a lot of people. But it's going to be accelerated when you don't have to buy a $500 console to play on that one particular platform. Right.
And with that being said, Pepsi versus Coke, you guys make the decision right there in chat. All right.
That's right.
And if you're watching this after the fact, leave a comment down below, Pepsi or Coke. That's really what this comes down to. I can't enjoy my Coca-Cola if Lloyd is drinking Pepsi. I can't. All right.
I choose Dr. Pepper in that
That's
comparison
not
between the two.
No, I told you. You had two choices, Lloyd.
No,
you can choose Pepsi or you can choose Coke. Those are the only two choices.
Think outside the can. Think outside the can, Bill. You pigeonhole yourself just to one can. You got to think outside the can. Yeah, it's these holy wars are just ridiculous. But what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Oh my goodness! Do you remember Crystal Pepsi?
I do. I remember Crystal Pepsi. Do you remember the actual Pepsi challenge at malls around like North America?
I mean, I remember seeing commercials for it, but I live in the middle of nowhere, wow. So we didn't have that kind of thing happen. Although we, like, Stadia did a Pepsi challenge. It was stupid because, like, they have the different controllers, right? And so people are like, well, I wonder what this is playing on, because the controller feels different. And if you're a gamer, you can obviously tell which controller you're holding.
Right.
But they did like that Pepsi challenge back before Stadia actually launched. They brought a bunch of people to like tents in London back when you could bring people together. And they tried it out and they're like, I think this one's Stadia. I think this one's Stadia. And they were always wrong.
Yeah. The real thing is none of them are running on Stadia, fools. That's what it is. It's all been a trick up till now.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that we've hit all of those topics. Let's quickly thank the people who sent in super chats throughout the show. We've got Pack 80 and Consino, both sent them in without any comment. Thank you very much for that. Michael Mooney sent in a comment along with a super chat. They said EA forced Microsoft to end its sports games before they would support Xbox, so Google may hit the same roadblock. But Google isn't. I think they're saying maybe Google. Okay, so this is what I think Michael is saying. Perhaps Google said, look, you don't want to port your games to our system because we might be competing with you by making competing games. Then maybe we won't make competing games, and then you can bring your game to our system. I don't know if that's the case, but it's definitely an argument. And Michael Mooney, if I'm misconstruing what you're saying, please let me know. People in chat are saying Duracell or Energizer now. That's funny. Any thoughts on this, Lloyd?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting take. I'm not sure what's happening there, but EA forced Microsoft to end its sports games so they wouldn't before they would support Xbox, so Google may hit the same roadblock. Okay, I see what Michael's saying, and yeah, maybe that is true. Maybe Stadia was working on some big third-person action RPG that looked fantastic, and EA's like, hey, we're working on that. It's called BioShock or something, right? And it's like, oh my god, okay, we want that on our platform. Okay, we'll stop that. It seems unlikely, but you never know. The industry is such a weird beast sometimes.
And Jay Dangle just sent in a super sticker as well of his little cheerleader. Thank you very much, Jay Dangle 25. We appreciate the support. Anything else before we wrap up today's episode of Stadiacast, Lloyd?
I don't think so. I'm really looking forward to getting some game time in over the next little bit. I'm also looking forward to getting a bunch of content out finally. My real life is finally slowed down, and I have minutes to think about other things than work. So if anybody wants to see first looks on any games on the platform, drop me a line. Hit me up on Twitter at Dasme, DASME, if there's particular games that you'd like to see me play.
And, speaking of making content, I didn't have a whole lot of extra time to play video games this week because I was working my butt off getting all of my episodes of 143 Pixels Season 5 done and edited and posted and ready. And that is starting on Tuesday. Season 5 of 143 Pixels is coming back.
Nice.
If you want to check that out, that's 143pixels.com. That's the actual numbers, nothing spelled out. 143pixels.com. And we've got guests on there like Mike Grahulik from Penny Arcade and Garnett Lee. And if you want to hear something awesome, then look up the Super Mega Worm song from Garnett Lee. It's really, really great. It's also really fun to say.
I love that dude. I miss that he doesn't do a podcast every week anymore.
He
left. Well, yeah, but not the same. Like the One Up Show was the thing back in the day.
Oh,
and then he was on a bunch of other really great gaming podcasts, and then he became a developer, so he had to walk away from all those things, which was sad. I appreciated his takes all the time.
Yeah, he just started a new indie game podcast called something Games, Potatoes, and Spatulas.
Yeah, I remember seeing
a name of the show.
A tweet about something about that. I'm gonna have to check it out because I really do like Garnett Lee.
Yeah. Anyway, 143pixels.com. Please check it out. And if you haven't already, make sure that you check out the 10K Nerd Nest logo shirt. It's you can just go to the store below. And I hope everybody has an awesome day.
Yeah. Take it easy, everybody. We'll talk to you next week for episode 100.
I don't know what episode 100 is going to look like. Like
It'll
everybody,
look like
people are expecting things, and I'm like, I don't have any ideas for how to make it different. I'm so bad at that. Like I've done Nintendo Switchcraft. I'm on episode 600 and something. I've never done a special episode because I can't think of those things.
Well, it's different when you do one show a week compared to 3-4 shows a week.
Yeah.
The milestones take way longer to get to, so they are a little bit more they have a little bit more import, I guess. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for the support. We really do appreciate that, and thank you for hanging out here with us live on the show. Anything that you want to chat about? But your camera, by the way, has been an auto-focusing nightmare the whole time. Like, yeah. I don't know what is going on. Like, because it didn't do this last week, but it's like anytime you move, it's like, hey, he's moving. Let's focus.
Yeah, I don't really like this camera. I really, really don't like this camera for many, many reasons. Like, I'll turn off autofocus. Here, let's click full screen for me so that I can actually see myself when I do that. I'll turn off autofocus. I go immediately blurry.
And there's no slider that lets you.
Oh yeah, I
can
can slide it, but then it will randomly start losing focus. So I turn autofocus on for a bit. So I don't know. I'm using a Razer Keo. I really need a better camera, but I can't right now.
I understand
some point in the future,
it was just,
will hopefully be a thing.
I just kept seeing it. I've run into the same problem even with my fancy camera where it focused on my microphone instead of my face.
Right.
And I've done entire videos where I look all super blurry and I just hit my...
See, that's kind of what it is. It's when I turn on more light, it seems like my camera has a harder time focusing because it must be trying to pull out like the brim of my hat or my microphone or something. When I have my lights down low, it focuses a heck of a lot less, but I like having the brighter lights on when I do things like that. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. It's the damn, Jane Dangle. It's the damn cats. That's what it is. My cat keeps moving forward and backwards instead of just sitting there. I need to get a track like Bill so my cat can walk on the track, but
that's right.
Takes some engineering. I'm gonna have to work on that.
All right. Well, everybody, I think that's it for us today. Thanks for hanging out with us. Lloyd, why don't you say goodbye?
All right. Goodbye. Have a good one, everybody. We'll talk to you next weekend.